Welcome and thank you so much for joining us and coming to our Uplift, Inform, Adaptive Fashion event. We have some great panelists for you today and speakers. We also have the one and only and the incredible Sophie Bradbury Cox, who will be hosting the event. So sit back, enjoy, relax, take notes if you want to. And we will begin now. So Sophie, I'm going to hand over to you.
Hello, hi everybody. Yeah, I'm Sophie, also known as Fashion Belle on social media, and we've got a really exciting webinar for you today. I just thought I'd introduce a couple of the speakers that we're going to have when you're going to see them in a bit. We've got Shelby Lynch, we've got Ellie Darby Pragnell, and we have got Sam Cornelius Light. Some great names in there. So yeah, I think it'll be really exciting. We're going to talk all things fashion. So yeah, let's go for it. Oh, there I am. Hello. Okay, so these are just a few things that we're going to be covering in the session today. Obviously, we're disabled. We have a lot of personal experiences with fashion and adaptive fashion, our adaptations to clothing, and the tips and tricks how we might do it ourselves. There's some really interesting things coming up. And then at the end, there's a live Q&A. So if you've got any questions for any of us, then you can just send those through and yeah, we'll be answering them at the end. Okay, so here's just again who's going to be on here today. Sophie, Shelby, Ellie and Sam. Okay, so we're going to speak to Sam first today, and hopefully Sam's just going to give us a little bit about himself and yeah, who you are. Let us know.
Cool. Hello everyone, I'm Sam. I'm 26. I live in Bristol, and yeah, I'm the things I enjoy is going travelling, going festivals, and sort of being out and about and as much as possible. Um, I'm going to
Yeah.
talk about sort of my clothes and sort of how I have adapted them to make them accessible. So, firstly, what I like about fashion is that it is customizable and there is something for everyone, any style, and sort of it gives you the ability to express yourself in any way. So, in a really accessible way, which I think is just really important. So, some of the ways that I make fashion accessible is I add zips to trousers, and I've got a few pictures of those to show as well. Um, I'm also going to talk about sort of the type of clothes that I buy for myself as being a wheelchair user. Um, so firstly, I'm going to talk about sort of adding the zips to trousers. So this idea came from a friend really, who had them already, and really it's sort of to really helps with independence. And one way for me is going to the toilet. It's so much easier way to go to the toilet with a zip rather than having to sort of do it in any other way. So that's sort of one of the reasons why I have zips in trousers. Um, so one of the important things about those zips is sometimes when you have clothes, the zips are really high up, which can be quite difficult if you want to go to the toilet with the zip. So a lot of my zips are a lot lower than usual zips, and that's sort of purely because I've had experiences with zips being too high and then annoyingly not being able to go to the toilet because of them. So the zips are lower than you would find on normal clothes. The only thing, the issue with having these adapted zips is that you've got to think about wearing the correct underwear, because if you're not wearing the correct underwear and you need the toilet, then you've kind of defeated the object of the zip. Um, Another reason why I have a zip is sort of independence as well. It means I can do it myself quite easily. So it's very practical and saves time, which is something that is quite important to me when I'm out and about, going to festivals, for example, and sort of being out and about mostly. Another example of how I make my clothes accessible to me is I generally, when I buy clothes, I generally see how sort of baggy they are, how much sort of and I generally look at buying larger clothes, only because of being in a seated position. It's generally sort of more comfier to wear sort of more loose fitting clothes than sort of tight fitting clothes. So for me, I tend to buy sort of extra large clothes purely for comfort, especially when being in a seated position all day. A lot of clothes are quite tighter because of being in a seated position. So that is some of the ways that I sort of go get past that barrier, is by sort of buying sort of oversized clothes purely because they're comfortable and easier to put on for PAs and carers as well. It's sort of, so for me, my fashion sense is comfortable and practical. That's sort of what my go-to is. And yeah, I've added zips to loads of different types of trousers. Added them to shorts as well. So, and luckily I get them done by my PA, who's luckily a seamstress as well. So
Oh wow, I was just going to ask who does your adaptations for you.
Yeah, quite lucky. But there are other places, clothing alterations, shops that exist where you can go to and they can ask them to fit a zip. Often they have their own zips. Sometimes I have had to sort of purchase the zips, and you can find those in Hobbycraft is the best place for those, or other sort of sewing and craft shops is another place where you can find zips. And yeah, it's sort of trying to make sure the zip actually isn't too sort of doesn't stand out. So if you've got black trousers that you want to get a zip, you can get a black zip. And a lot of zips come in different colours, so it's really easy to sort of make it blend into your normal clothes.
That's brilliant. And did you just come up with this yourself? You didn't have a template or anything? It was just something you've adapted your own.
So the template really was, I did originally have a template from a friend, but my sort of PA has sort of kind of used that template, but kind of has memorized it. So it's very much by eye now, and it's I've got a few pictures of the trousers in the slides I can show.
Yeah,
it shows
hopefully we can show that. Yeah, and then it will. Let's see if we got that. Oh yeah, brilliant.
So that's the zip. Yeah, you can see it's slightly lower. So it's quite lower, and sort of it's that size just because it's easier to open, and it's sort of making sure that it's at sort of the bit at the end of the trouser. So it's just sort of making sure that you don't have it too high, because a lot of the zips are often too high and often the gap is too small. So that's
when you're
why
sitting down, it's totally different, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. From standing up to sitting, clothes sort of change their position.
Brilliant. And just quickly, what kind of shops do you shop in? Sort of, I know you say you buy oversized clothing and things. What kind of shops do you shop in?
I usually shop in TK Maxx. Really, that's my sort of go-to place for clothes, because they have a real variety of clothes, and yeah, a lot of those clothes are sort of they're cheap, but they're good quality clothes. So that's sort of why I go to TK Maxx. Is my go-to really for any clothes that I adapt.
That's good, because sometimes it could be like a jumble sale in there, isn't there? So you've got the dedication to find the good stuff. Brilliant. Thank you, Sam. That's really informative. I think that's amazing. Really good. And it's just so clever what we can do with our imaginations and making things work for us. So yeah, fantastic. Brilliant. And then we'll go on to the next slide. And we have Shelby.
Hello.
Hi, Shelby. Will you just give us a little introduction, please?
Of course, my name is Shelby. I'm from Leeds. I'm 27 years old. I'm a black disabled woman with long pink braids and a pink shirt on.
Fashion queen, absolute queen.
Thank you.
And so let's get into it. So what do you like about fashion, and how did you get into it?
I got into fashion probably when I was like approaching my teen years, like that transition period between your parents picking out your clothes than you picking out your own clothes. So when I started to get to 13, I would go shopping with my grandmother, and I sort of learned then the type of clothes that I liked, putting outfits together. And then as I got older, I started posting my outfits on Instagram and doing YouTube videos and things. And that's how my love sort of grew, really. What was the second part of that question? Sorry.
How did you sort of get into fashion and loving it?
Yeah, so that's how I got into it. And yeah, my grandmother was just like a huge inspiration for me growing up. Like, she'd take me out and things. And yeah,
I love that. It's good to have those people, isn't it? And
definitely.
what are some ways that you can make fashion accessible for you?
So due to my scoliosis, a lot of clothes feel quite tight on me because they don't fully fasten. So if I've got a dress, for example, that's not got a lot of elastic, then I will take it to a seamstress and they will put elastic in for me. I had to do this with my best friend's wedding. I was a bridesmaid, which was so much fun. But the dresses she got weren't very stretchy, so I went to the seamstress in my city centre and they put in like a stretchy elastic material for me, which was like so much more comfortable. I could actually breathe in it, so it was really good. But I do usually go for like stretchy clothes, especially around like my stomach and waist area. So you can get stretchy clothes pretty much anywhere. Just give it a little pull, keeps you in the shops. I'll order things online and then try it on and send it back if it's not good enough.
Yeah, do you find it quite difficult? Because obviously trying things on in shops is quite hard, isn't it? You prefer to like sort of
Yeah,
try things on at home in your own time.
yeah, definitely. Because there's just like a lot of changing rooms that have the hoist to the bed and everything. So I'll either try it on at home, send it back, or just like sell it on Vinted if I'm not gonna wear it or I can't wear it.
Yeah, brilliant. And your fashion, I love your fashion. It's quite unique. Would you say it's quite unique?
Thank you. I have no idea what my fashion sense is, in all honesty. I just wear like bright, colourful clothes. And I like to dress like a little Bratz doll. So I get a lot
I
of
was
my
going to say,
fashion
do you get
inspiration.
inspiration? Yeah, inspiration from things.
Definitely. Yeah, they're like 90s, early 2000s, and like just the Bratz dolls in general, like my fashion inspiration.
I love that though. That's so cool because it's often
Thank you.
it's hard when you're in a wheelchair, isn't it? Often to sort of find things that work for us. So yeah, it's great
Yeah,
that we can try things
it's
on
really
and
good as well because like I feel changes. I think when I wear like really long dresses or long skirts, I feel like I'm drowning in material. Like I feel like you can't really see me under all the
mm,
material, so I tend to get like cropped t-shirts because they end up being like longer on me because I sat down. I'll get like a mini skirt and that ends up going just for my bodies. So it's very interesting how everything looks different when you sat down compared to when you're standing up.
yeah, definitely. And I think another thing is that they don't show enough about people sitting down on shop websites either. Do you think? There's often
No,
like
not at
not they
all.
don't show people seated, so you don't know how it's going to look.
Yeah, exactly. I've seen on TikTok recently there's like a bride's like a bride wear company and they do show what it's like to wear the dresses sat down, which I think is really cool. But I think it's important to get like wheelchair models in there as well. Because you've got like the experience and can give advice and stuff.
Yeah, that's it. And all our bodies are so different, aren't they? So it's just so it'd be great if
Absolutely.
they showed them a little bit more. Yeah, that's really interesting. Thank you so much, Shelby.
Thank you so much.
And then we have Ellie. So we're going to move.
Hello,
There we go. Hi, Ellie. I hope you're okay. Do you want to do a little introduction about yourself? You've got lots of things going on.
amazing, thank you. Yeah, hi everyone, I'm Ellie. I'm 24 from Essex. I was a fashion communication student at uni and I graduated a couple of years ago. and now I run my own magazine, which is called Look Deeper, and it's all inspired by the beautiful disabled people I've met over the years. Yeah, so it's by and for disabled creatives.
I love that, and I'm just going to sneak a little question in because I want to know more about this magazine and just how it kind of came about, and yeah, how you find the people to feature in it and things like that.
Of course. Yeah, so it kind of started when I was at uni. We had a project to make a zine, and I was like, oh, that sounds like fun. I went to town on it. I got like models that I'd met like through Instagram, and I just, when I've made the first issue, I loved it so much, and I was like, I need to try and carry this on. So it's kind of just been like a labor of love for the past like 4 or 5 years, but honestly, Instagram has been the biggest thing for my zine. Like, that's where I've met all the people that have been like either writers, models, contributors. Like, it's incredible. Yeah, it's been it's been so much fun. It's just been like the best experience, like connecting with so many different people, working with different people. I think the biggest thing for me was like I could create what I wanted to see in the industry. As you know, the representation, although it's got better, it's so lacking. And I wanted to make a space that felt like actually authentic and that consistently we could represent ourselves within.
Brilliant. I love that. I think it's really, really fantastic. And then, so what do you like about fashion?
Goodness, everything. Much like Shelby, like from the age of like when you start dressing yourself, I was just in love with fashion. I've always loved it, and then yeah, when I left school, I decided to study fashion at college. So I actually was like making clothes as well, which I really loved. And then I went on to study fashion communication at uni, which is more like the editorial side of it, which I just love. But I think the biggest thing with fashion is, as we all know, like when you're in a wheelchair or have a physical disability, people have all these preconceived ideas and stereotypes about you, and sometimes don't even particularly get to know you. They just see disability, and fashion is like the biggest thing where you can like reclaim your power and show who you are, and what you're like, to kind of show your soul through fashion.
And did you, just an extra question, did you find it more difficult to sort of study fashion? Because when I was younger, I came up with quite a few, I wanted to do fashion, and I actually went to an interview at a college, and the interviewer said, oh, I really don't think you're going to be able to cope with anything because you're disabled. So did you come up with any sort of barriers, or was everyone quite open, really?
There was one university that I didn't go there, I went for an open day, and she was like, so can you walk? And I was like, how is that relevant to the course? I didn't go there. But to be honest, most people were really lovely. There was another course leader that I come across that was a little bit like, why are you here? How are you going to do it? But to be honest, I met some really lovely people as well. I think with all the good comes a little bit of bad sometimes. But yeah, what made it work for me was having my personal assistants with me. So obviously I can't lift like big rolls of fabric and stuff, but they could help me with that bit, and then I could do the more like intricate sewing and stuff like that. So just kind of work around it. But yeah, I did have really amazing tutors in the end when I found good ones.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And then we've kind of sort of answered the second question, but I'd love to know sort of with your zine, like what's one of maybe your favourite shoots or something that you'd like to do with it, or where you want it to go in the future?
Yeah, of course. One of my favourite shoots we did recently was, we actually just went around London. I usually book photo studios for it, and it's so lovely, but sometimes it adds a bit more stress to the day. But on this one, we went around Shoreditch, and my friend was styling it, and obviously the whole team is disabled, so the photographers, stylists, makeup artist, me, I do the creative direction on it, and then the models, of course. But it was just such a lovely day. Everyone was very understanding of each other's needs and access requirements, and I think that makes it so much more comfortable to be around people where everyone's got stuff going on and you can kind of accommodate for each other. So yeah, I love that one. But going forward, I kind of want to carry on doing what we're doing, but just more frequently. I'd love to put out more issues a year. I'd love to just work with more lovely disabled talent. Yeah, I'd love to publish other people's work as well. I think that would be so cool because, as I said, it's so nice having this space to like create our own representation. I just want to be able to do more of it and make
It
more
really
editorial.
is. Yeah, sorry, it really is just an area, isn't it, that, like you say, it needs to be better representation. That like is such a fantastic thing to do, that there isn't anything like that at all.
Definitely. Thank you.
No, it's brilliant. So then, in your own like kind of fashion, what kind of fashion do you love, and how do you adapt the fashion for you?
Yeah, so I love charity shopping and vintage, but obviously that comes with its own difficulties because there's always not much like variety on sizing. But things that I always go for is like elasticated waistbands. I always have to shorten any skirt or trousers I buy. I'm only 5'1" and seated, so as you can imagine, things are always very long.
Yeah.
So that's something that I always do, kind of always cut the end off and like hem it. Another thing I tend to look for is more cropped t-shirts and tops because they're not cropped on me where I'm sitting down, and with my scoliosis it makes me shorter. So things actually
because like Shelby said as well, similar,
exactly, perfect length they turn out to be. So that's one of the main things. I believe on the next slide there's a photo of an adaptation I've done, which I will talk through. Perfect. So yeah, obviously cropped jackets are much easier to wear, but I do love a trench coat. So I'd always wanted one, and my grandma very kindly helped me with this. So this is an adaptation I've done on pretty much any coat or long jacket I've had. So we just cut a slit up the back where the centre seam is, and then she just sort of stitches it over so it doesn't fray, and it kind of takes the opening up to like where the bottom of my back is, so that the rest of it sits nicely in a seated position. And if I didn't do this, I would not be able to wear jackets or coats like this. It just doesn't work, as I'm sure you know. So this is one of my favourite ones.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's so great that we can find ways to do it, isn't it? I think I avoid long jackets, to be honest, because I've never really thought about how to adapt it, especially with coats, because they're quite probably more difficult fabric to work with. So is it your grandma that does most of your adaptations?
Yeah, she does. I kind of do like trousers or skirts, but anything more like this she does, because she is a very good seamstress. So yeah, I'm very lucky to have her.
That's very handy, isn't it?
Very handy.
I love that. Brilliant. Thank you so much, Ellie. It was so nice talking to you.
Thank you. You too.
And then I think I'm just going to give you a little bit more information about myself, and what I like about fashion and how it makes me feel. I think I've loved fashion ever since I was young. I loved being able to dress myself and wear what I wanted to wear. And I think it was something that always made me feel quite empowered, because I was in a wheelchair and it almost felt like people would expect you to wear black or expect you just to blend in because you're disabled. And I saw it as a way to be the complete opposite to that and wear bright colours and stand out. And people are probably going to stare anyway, this is what I always say. So I'll make them stare for a good reason instead. So I just love fashion and colour, and it always just makes me feel so much happier and bright, and that's what I love. Now, the ways I make fashion accessible for me, I often know now what suits me. Obviously, I'm in my 30s, so I've had a long time to get used to this. And I know what kind of fabrics will work, a bit like Shelby said with the stretchy fabric. I always tend to go for stretchy fabrics because I just know it will be much more comfortable when I'm sitting down all day. And I know which shapes will work for me. I avoid jeans like the plague because they're just a no-go to me. I did try the Primark adaptive jeans because, if you don't already know, Primark did an adaptive clothing line, which is absolutely fantastic for a high street brand to do that. But the jeans weren't a stretchy material. They were really tight fabric, and unfortunately they didn't work for me. But it's great that a high street brand is sort of delving into that. I've got a couple of videos I think coming up just of a couple of adaptations I have actually done, so you're going to have to listen to my voice a little bit more. Oh, have we got any sound? Jackie's doing a great job, bless her. We'll hopefully get some sound. Bear with. But yeah, I'll just speak a bit more about my fashion, what I love, while we're waiting. And I tend to shop a lot on the high streets. I try everything on at home. I don't even attempt to go into changing rooms because it's never going to work. So I often buy from ASOS, which is great because they've got a great returns policy, and other high street places like Primark. I'm wearing a Primark dress today, and this is quite unusual for me because it's like a cotton material, but it was quite flared, so it actually sits really nicely. I also love New Look. They have some great jersey dresses, like that real stretchy fabric, which is really nice. And yeah, I stick to high street really. I love accessories. I think accessories is a perfect way to sort of style up an outfit and make it your own. And I think also for people that don't love colour, I think it's a great way, or want to get a bit of colour in their life, I think it's a great way to sort of introduce it and yeah, bring in the small accessories and things. So yeah, we love fashion. Hopefully all of you on here are really interested and love fashion too. So I'm not sure how we're getting on. Oh, we're back. If there's no volume, I can just talk through this. So basically what I'm saying here is I bought this shirt from Zara, and it was basically just a standard Zara shirt, buttons all the way down the front. And I did buy it in a bigger size because, a bit like Sam said, I like things to be a bit more oversized. There we go. And then you can see at the back, it had buttons down at the back as well. So Kath has used this term a few times, and yeah, accidentally accessible is a great way of going through this because it had the buttons at the back, and shirts I find really restrictive. So to have the back open, like you can see there, was just so perfect because it just sat really nicely on me. And again, that was just in Zara, just one of those finds that I found on the website. And yeah, it worked perfectly for me in my wheelchair. I love finding things that just are accidentally accessible because it means not having to do any adaptations yourself, which is always great. And then the next one, we've got another one which is a bit more sort of a manual adaptation that I did. And then basically this was a dress that it had a really tight fitting underskirt on the bottom layer. So basically my sister, who's my carer, just cut a big V shape in the bottom, so that when I sat down I could just pull the underskirt round me, similar to Ellie did with the coat. And yeah, it just sat perfectly, which really worked. Sometimes the adaptations don't need to be really complicated. Literally that was just cutting with a pair of scissors. And it worked really well. And again, I have to trim a lot of dresses, like Ellie said, lots of things to make them shorter. So yeah, sometimes adaptations can be a bit easier, but it's so great that we always find a way to make them work. Okay. So yeah, hopefully you've got some things from us here basically that might already be available on the high street, so similar to that shirt that I showed you. And then it's been great to hear from the others about what they do for comfort, like Sam, to make things work for him, and the girls too. There's so many things that you can do, and yeah, it's fantastic to try different things to make clothes work for you in your wheelchairs. Yeah, so hopefully that's been really helpful. And there we go. So there's always solutions to these things. Sometimes it might be more difficult, but if you've got any questions, then this is the time. Please let us know, and we'll see if any come in. Okay, we'll just see if we've got any questions. You can ask any of us, all of us.
Hi, Sophie, just wanted to pop in and say if people want to pop their questions in the Q&A or the chat, then we'll get all of the other guys up on the screen to answer them. So if all the other people that were in for the questions could come up, put your cameras back on so that we can have people ask you those questions.
We've lost Sam. Oh.
We have a question. Has anyone used one of the quick stitching gadgets seen on TikTok?
No, I haven't. I don't know about any of you guys.
I haven't. It does look very good though.
I've
Yeah,
never seen it. Can you describe it at all, Ellie? I don't really know what it is.
If I'm thinking of the right thing, I think it's like a little thing that you hold, and as you kind of go along where you want to sew, it kind of stitches it for you, if I'm correct. So I think it looks really cool.
Yeah, I was going to say that would work really well, wouldn't it, if it was as simple as it sounds anyway.
Definitely.
We have another question. What is your favorite footwear? What things do you think about before buying?
That is a really good question. I'll just jump in and then I'll get you guys to give a little answer as well. I, for one, really struggle with footwear. I have really wide feet from sort of sitting in my wheelchair all day. So I really struggle finding shoes that fit my feet, and trainers always are my solution because they're always the most comfortable. But yeah, what about you guys and your footwear? Do you want to go? Should we go to Sam first?
My internet cut out there when you asked the question.
Oh, sorry. Do you want to just read it again, Jackie, if you could, please?
I was doing that thing where I was looking for the mute button. What is your favorite footwear? What things do you think about before buying shoes/sandals?
So in terms of footwear for me, I like to have shoes that use Velcro just because it means I can I find them much easier to put on myself. I find them much more comfortable, so I use Vans a lot. I have also got shoes that were made by Orthotics that are like warm inside, so I wear those at winter. But in terms of when I buy shoes online, I'm kind of looking at sort of, because my feet are quite wide, so it's kind of looking at making sure they're not too sort of thin and narrow, and making sure they're wide. And I generally find that Vans shoes are generally really good for that.
Can we just go back, Sam, to the heated shoes? I've never heard of this. It sounds amazing.
Oh no, so what they are they're like orthotic shoes, and I wear them in winter because I struggle with really cold feet, and they're really they're fluff lined, really fluffy shoes. And yeah, I couldn't find them anywhere in shops, so yeah, I managed to get those through Orthotics, and they definitely do keep my feet warm a lot, and they don't look like Orthotic shoes, they look like actual boots, which are really good.
Oh, that's amazing. Brilliant. What about you, Shelby, with your footwear? What kind of footwear do you go for?
Due to my condition, my legs are quite floppy, so my feet are always like pointing down, sort of like a ballerina, if you can like imagine that. So I tend to go with shoes that have quite a big heel, just because that is more comfortable because my feet point down anyway. So Like a lot of my shoes are like, you can see on my Instagram, I've got like 6-inch boots that I wear like every day. And I've also got like other heels that have like a smaller heel, not as big. I do have some flat shoes. I've got some Docs. I've got some trainers, but I've got to get those like a bit of a bigger size because like surfing, my feet are also quite wide. So I'm probably like a size 3, but I get like a 5 just to make sure I've got enough space. But the flat shoes do usually hurt my ankles after quite a while, so I just stick to my heels.
I love that. You always look so glam. I avoid heels like the plague, so I think you do really well with all your amazing heels. And Ellie,
Thank
what about
you.
you?
Yeah, I have had many shoe fails over the years. There's shoes that I love and really wanted to wear. My feet are very contractured, so there's not a lot of wiggle room. So I've had to get shoes that either have a zip, so if I'm wearing a boot, I've got a pair of, I think they're kids' Dr. Martens, but they've got a zip all the way down the inside, which makes it so much easier to get my feet in. And then with trainers, yeah, things like Converse or Adidas ones, I have to literally undo the laces so it like I can open it completely up. But yeah, I'm similar to Shelby where I always size up. I'm like a size 2 to 3, and I either get like a 3.5 or a 4. And yeah, again, I also love wearing a platform and a big heel because you don't have to walk in it, so I might as well. But yeah, so yeah, I tend to go for like Converse day to day, and then if I'm going out, like a boot, but it's got to have a zip down the inside.
Yeah. Yeah, brilliant. I'm similar to that as well. And I also do the size up, but I go up to about a 7, and I'm only probably about a 2.5. So, but it just makes everything so much more comfortable. So, yeah.
We've got another question. If you have 0 sewing skills, what tips do you have for adapting clothes? Where can you go? Anything that doesn't involve sewing.
Okay. Any of you guys want to answer that?
I just go to. Oh, sorry.
It's okay,
You
you
go
go.
first.
Then we'll go Ellie. Yeah.
Okay. I go to seamstress in the city centre, just in the market because they're not as expensive as going to like a big fancy seamstress. I go rarely, probably once or twice a year, and I think I've paid like between £15 and £20 to get like elastic put in. So I don't know if that's within your budget, but if it is, then that's a really good way to adapt your clothes without doing it yourself.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah, I was going to kind of say similar thing. Yeah, I'm sure if you Google, there'll be some seamstress in your area. Also, it's good to ask around. Like, you might have a friend whose nan does sewing or their auntie, so you never know. A lot of people have sewing skills, so you might be able to get a favour and get them to do a little bit for you. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely clothes out there that you could get that don't need adaptations. It's just obviously harder to come by. But yeah, I'd say ask around and see if you can find someone that could do a little bit of sewing.
Yeah, and I think as well that sometimes you don't always need things to be sewn. Like, I mean, I've got some dresses that I've just cut the hem off and hoped for the best and not, and if it's fraying a little bit, I'm like, well, this just comes with the territory. So yeah, so it's up to you really. But yeah, you can sometimes just do things without having the skills.
Thank you so much. We have a question. What would you say to young people who look at themselves and see the imperfections and don't have the confidence to style and post photos on social media? That's a big
Okay,
question. I know.
that is a big question. Does anyone want to go? Ellie or Sam, Shelby?
I learned this trick when I was like 21, so quite late in life. But like every day, and I've like look at myself in the mirror, like natural, like no makeup, nothing. You got to say like out loud one thing you physically like about yourself. Then like as each day goes on, you'll eventually train your brain to pick up more things. So I started off with like my eyes, then I went with my lips, then I went with my cheekbones, then I went with my thighs. And like you just train your brain to eventually love yourself and feel more comfortable. So I try that because that really works for me.
Oh, I love that. That's such a good idea. I think I'd need to do that more often as well. Anybody else?
Yeah, one thing I kind of learned was I struggled massively and still do with like body confidence and positive image. But I think one thing I struggled with was I was like, I can't love my body. But then I learned the word about acceptance. It was like body acceptance rather than body like positivity. Like just accept that's who you are. You can't change it. And that helped me a lot where I was like, oh, I don't have to like love my body, but I can just accept this is who I am, that's what I've got. Yeah, and I think was there a bit about social media on the question as well? Cool.
So the second part of that question was about confidence to style and post photos on social media.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I did this so gradually. I don't do it much anymore, but yeah, it is scary when you start. But I mean, Shelby is the queen of this, so maybe you're better to answer. But I think once you start doing it, it makes it less scary. And when people like give you love and support on social media, and you also find friends and community on there, I think that makes it so much more exciting rather than scary.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing that Ellie said, like finding friends and community definitely makes it easier. But if you're just starting out, I guess the good thing is you might not reach a lot of people straight away. So it's literally just you. So you might get some time to get used to it. And then gradually, when people start finding you, you'll probably get more confidence because you've been practicing. But yeah, definitely, you'll again, when your platforms eventually grow, you'll find friends and community who'll always support you, which is amazing.
Yeah, I think sometimes social media can be a really positive space and such a great way to sort of to share fashion and things like that. And you're always going to find that community that are living with disabilities and things like that. And I think seeing you do it can give other people sort of inspiration and yeah, it's just go for it. And yeah, I think it can be hard, but it's worth it in the end, and it's so nice to share those things for other people to see.
We have, this is a good question. It's really good, right?
Oh.
What are your top two, not top three, top two favorite colors to wear?
Oh, wow, is that for all of us? So should I kick off and then I'll ask you guys? Top two, that's really good. I think I'm going to go pink and green. And that's not just because I absolutely love Wicked, obviously, but that's one of my most favorite color combos. So yeah, pink and green for me. Sam, what about you?
For me, in terms of what colours I like to wear, I like wearing any colour really, any colour that sort of you can match well with an outfit with trousers. So I wear a lot of blues, I wear a lot of yellows, a lot of greens. So I like sort of not really really bright colours, but I do like sort of nice greens, blues, and yellows that sort of blend really well. Also with festival clothes as well, I've got some quite colourful festival clothes as well, so some jackets, lots of colourful shirts as well. So yeah, I've got quite an interesting cut. I've got quite a mixture of sort of colours in my wardrobe.
Brilliant. And what about you, Shelby?
So I'm like Sam, not to toot my own horn, but a lot of colours look good on me, so this is a really hard question. But I would say red. I've been told red looks really good on me. And I love to wear pink, like whenever I can. So I'll say pink and red.
Love it. And Ellie?
Sounds really boring, but I've really been into wearing brown recently. It's like my new staple colour. Probably blue is my other colour. Got a lot of pieces in like a baby blue. Yeah, they're probably my two favourites at the minute.
Love that. Yeah, brown's quite unusual, isn't it? It's on trend. Is it on trend? I feel like it is.
I think so,
You would know
honestly.
more than me.
Okay, so we've got a question for Ellie. Can you tell us about the photo shoots for your zine and how you make them accessible?
Yes, of course. So I think the biggest thing I do is just ask people what their access needs are, because everyone on the shoot is going to have completely different needs. So that's the first step I always start with. And then what I do is I work around everyone. So I always book a studio, obviously that's wheelchair accessible, which can be very hard to come by, which is surprising. But yeah, so always book an accessible studio, make sure everyone's access needs are met. So sometimes it's including more breaks throughout the day. We might need to swap jobs. So honestly, a few times I've had to leave because I've not felt very well. So it's just making sure that other people are there to back you up. I've had friends that just need to take a breather. So we might put like another model in whilst they're having a break. And then with clothes, again, it's always just being really open and communicative. So like asking what works for them, making sure all the pieces I get work for the person. Yeah, I think mostly it's just making sure the environment is really safe and welcoming, and people feel like they can stay if they need a break or if they need anything changing. I think is the biggest thing, because I know, especially if you're not used to that sort of like studio environment, it can feel very scary and daunting. But I think with the fact that everyone there has a disability, it makes it a little bit more comfortable to say what your needs are. Hope I answered that okay.
Yeah, that was perfect. Thank you, Ellie. Have we got any more questions, Jackie?
Yeah, they're coming in hot and fast.
Yes, great.
Okay, this question is for Sophie.
Okay.
Since finding your accidentally accessible shirt in Zara, have you adapted others to work in a similar way?
Well, that's a great question. I mostly, if they're not accidentally accessible, I will mostly do what I did like with the second dress, and I will just cut things up. So basically, I have to do it quite often with some dresses that I wear if they're more fitted. And yeah, I'll just cut the back up with this, because no one can see the back of your dress anyway, because I'm sitting down all the time, luckily. So yeah, we just cut them up with scissors, and then until as far as they need to go, and that's all I do. So I love it when I find the accidentally accessible things, because they always look so nice and neat and I don't have to do anything. But yeah, often my carers will just cut things up, and yeah, that's the most simplest way of adapting anything, I think, but the easiest way.
Awesome. Okay, I'm going to try and get through as many of these as I humanly can. Sam, a question for you. Do you have any accessible formal wear tips, like suits and formal wear? Yeah, suity things.
I very rarely wear suits or smart materials, but when I do, the alterations I've had done before, I sort of had the sleeves taken up a bit, because often the sleeves are really long, so I need the sleeves sort of pulled back up a bit. Often with trousers as well. I have got a pair of smart trousers that have got a zip. But again, when I bought them, they were really, really long, so they had to be taken up a bit as well. So that's sort of, I don't really wear smart clothes very often, but when I have, I've had to do those alterations, because otherwise it does look really big on me.
Awesome, thank you. I never thought about taking the sleeves up. That might be something that I take on. Cool. Okay. Next question is, Shelby, this is for you. Have you ever accessorized your ventilator tube? If so, how?
I got a DM about this the other day. Somebody sent me some like fabric material from Etsy, and I said like, in theory, this is such a good idea, but like practically, I'm just too lazy. In all honesty, I'm gonna have to take it off, and then wash it, wait for it to dry, and then all the pieces will just go missing. So like, it's such a good idea if you are more organised and don't have ADHD. Then go for it. Knock yourself out. Sounds amazing. Tag me in pictures if you're gonna do it. I'd love to see it.
Awesome. Wonderful. Okay, so this is a question for Ellie. I don't know what I had to think there, but yeah, it's for you. For Look Deeper Zine, where do you get your inspiration from for styling outfits, and how do you get outfits to fit different body types?
Very good question. I think what I do is I tend to look on Instagram at the kind of editorials that are out there at the minute. I kind of also look at like things from the past, so films and like old magazines, like maybe from the 90s. I'm really enjoying at the minute. And I kind of just get a big collection of imagery that inspires me and then kind of edit it down for each person. So in terms of getting accessible clothing, I really just find out what works for each person. So some people need to have like things that are elasticated. So I obviously then, once I've found the outfits, which what I usually do is loan from small designers. So I find out like people that have graduated fashion courses recently, contact them. Sometimes it's a charity shop job, in all honesty. Sometimes people don't want to loan, which is perfectly fine. So I've done many last minute charity shop runs. So yeah, it's just finding different pieces that you think are going to work for people, but also being adaptive. Like on the day, I've had to cut things up. I've had outfits not turn up once, so made an outfit on the day out of fabric, which was interesting. My friend helped me with that, she was amazing. Yeah, it's just been, I think now especially there's a lot more adaptive wear out there, and a lot of like designers that are up and coming that have disability in mind when creating their collections, which is going to make it a lot more exciting to work with. Yeah, hopefully that answered it.
Wonderful. Okay, I'm conscious of time, so this question, and they're still coming in thick and fast. So this question will be the last question, and I think it's a great question to end on. The question is, and this is for everyone, what is your go-to hair accessory? What is your go-to hair accessory?
I love putting like, I don't know if you can see, I've got them in. They were gold, but I've gone silver now. But I've got like little beads in my braids that I love to add, especially in the summer. I think they're really cute. And I just like adding a scrunchie every now and again for a bit of volume.
Love it. Do you want to go, Ellie?
Yes, sure. At the minute, I just really love, I don't know what you call them. You know, like the clips that are like big metal, like when you like put portions of your hair up, or like crocodiles or
like a claw clip.
Yeah, that's the word. Love them. I hate my hair being in my face, so sometimes I just like to get it up, and they look really cute as well. So that's probably my favourite at the minute.
Yeah, there's loads on the high street at the minute. They're everywhere, aren't they, those claw clips? I'm quite boring because I have my hair down most of the time. So sometimes I'll have like a clip in at the side or a headband. I quite like a headband, like Tudor vibes. I love a little Tudor vibe moment. Yeah, I'm fairly boring really. Or a cap. I like a hat to accessorize. I always think a hat looks quite cool. So yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you to Sophie. Thank you to Shelby. Thank you to Ellie. Thank you to Sam. Thank you for being incredible. In the chat box, this is for all of the viewers out there. If you could click the link in the chat box and help us fill in our quick evaluation form. It helps us to continue to put on amazing events like this, and it helps the Uplift team know what people want to put on next, and that we're doing, you know, great things. So if you could click that and fill it in, it will literally take you less than 2 minutes. And while you do that, I'm going to thank our panelists, our hosts for today. You have been absolutely incredible. I have learned some things. So I will be emailing you about fashion tips, how we could do an experiment and be like, do you want to just Jackie for a week? Maybe.
I've learned so much. There's so many style tips. It's great.
Yeah, it's been absolutely incredible. I'm gonna start doing stuff and then sending them to all of you for approval. I want to become a fashion girly immediately. So thank you so much.